Hey, you want to go on a road trip? Our target, the United States of America, specifically the furthest extent of empire. Top to bottom, east to west.
Road trip?
It's virtual.
So should I dress for warm weather or cold?
Both.
Cool.
The king of the north!
Let's start at the top of the map.
So top of the map, does that mean Alaska?
Utkavik, Alaska. Did you bring a jacket?
Jacket. Jacket? Check.
All right. Let's do this. Once known as Barrow, Alaska, the city of Utkavik is the northernmost point and northernmost city within the realm of the United States of America. It sits 320 miles north of the Arctic Circle. So you can imagine that this is quite a chilly place. Its highest recorded temperature happened in July of one year, topping out at 26 degrees Celsius or 79 degrees Fahrenheit. That was unusual. Normally, summer temperatures hover around the upper 40s Fahrenheit. The upside is that summer can see round-the-clock sunshine. And winter? Winter can get quite cold, around negative 30 degrees Celsius or negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Record low for the city in deepest winter is negative 49 degrees Celsius or negative 56 degrees Fahrenheit. You'll need a lot more than a jacket, maybe a flashlight, as in winter, Utkavik is plunged into months of darkness.
Like this?
Getting warmer. 4,500 people live here. Most of the people of Utkavik are Inupiat, which is an indigenous Inuit ethnic group. They've lived in and around Utkavik for around 1,500 years, making Utkavik one of the oldest continually inhabited places in the empire, putting it on a list alongside Acoma, Taos, and San Juan, Puerto Rico. And like any other town and city in the empire, people from all over come here. Cherokee citizen, comedian, stage and film actor, and newspaper columnist Will Rogers died here in a plane crash in 1935. Oil was discovered in Alaska's North Slope, changing the economics of the region, and U.S. Armed Forces maintain a radar station here. Utkavik has a 2-year tribal college, too, the only one of its kind in Alaska. And in 1988, 3 California gray whales became trapped in the freezing sea, creating an international media sensation. The Inupiat, the United States, and the Soviet Union worked together on the rescue. Someone even made a movie of the event.
Their situation focused worldwide attention on a remote, cold spot called Barrow, Alaska, forging an unlikely union between the two most powerful nations on the face of the earth.
The whale chooses the whaler, and they have chosen us.
The whale told you this? Did it write you a letter?
So that's Utkavik. Interesting place.
Nice. So what's next?
Next we go south, way south, but keep your jacket on because it's going to be a lot colder than Utkavik.
Yikes.
One contender for the southernmost point in the United States of America is Edmondson Scott South Pole Station. At, well, the South Pole, at the very bottom of the world.
Anyone messes with me and the whole camp goes. Come on, child, burn me.
I say contender because while the South Pole is under U.S. jurisdiction, it isn't under full U.S. sovereign control. No single country can own any part of Antarctica, but they can maintain and operate permanent bases there, of which we have 3. So at South Pole Station, the U.S. keeps the lights on and the grass mowed year-round. so to speak. The South Pole Station is even more harrowing than Utkavik. The record high for summer is negative 12 degrees Celsius, or about 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Like Utkavik, the sun hangs high 24 hours a day in the summer. But in the winter, it's months and months of darkness and very cold temperatures. Record low is negative 82.8 degrees Celsius, or negative 117 degrees Fahrenheit. The sun only rises once per year and sets once per year.
That does not sound pleasant.
It's a great place to do some science.
So what is the southernmost point that's completely under U.S. control?
That would be Rose Atoll, way out in the Pacific Ocean, south of the equator. You can lose the jacket now.
Oh, thank goodness.
What is considered the southernmost point fully in control of the United States is Rose Atoll in American Samoa. American Samoa is a territory of the United States. All in all, the empire contains 14 territories, 5 of which are populated. These 5 populated territories contain 3.5 million people. Add to this 574 domestic dependent nations, 50 states, the District of Columbia, which still doesn't have voting representation in Congress, and around 800 military bases in 80 countries around the planet, which consists of anything from lonely airstrips leased from foreign governments to small cities bristling with thousands of U.S. soldiers and support personnel. It's a complicated beast, the United States. But Rose Atoll in American Samoa, or Moru Omanu, as labeled by Samoan people who live nearby, is considered the southernmost point of territory that is fully controlled by the United States. The atoll contains 2 islands and totals about 53 acres. It is an uninhabited national wildlife refuge, home to giant clams, green turtles, hawksbill turtles, nesting seabirds like petrels, shearwaters, terns, and a coral reef containing 270 different species of fish. Humpback whales even stop by on their way elsewhere. Unlike Utkavik and the South Pole, American Samoa can be quite comfortable, hovering around the 70s and 80s Fahrenheit all year round. The sea is quite warm to swim in from January to July. But Rose Atoll specifically is forbidden to all save those with special permission to visit, which are usually scientists. Scientists get to have all the fun.
This sounds so much better than the South Pole.
And you can do some pretty cool science there.
Okay, we've covered north and south, so what about east and west?
At dawn, look to the east.
The easternmost point in the empire is that of Point Udall in the U.S. Virgin Islands in the Caribbean Sea.
Oh, so I can stick with the summer gear?
Yes, but watch out for hurricanes. Point Udall was named for a former U.S. Secretary of the Interior, Stuart Udall, who served under Presidents Kennedy and Johnson. In the past, St. Croix was populated in turn by Igneeri, Taino, and Carib peoples. It was a Carib group, the Kalinago, who met the incoming Spanish invasion in the 1490s. By 1590, the island's inhabitants had all been wiped out, and St. Croix sat empty. In the 17th century, French, English, and Dutch settlers moved in and squabbled over who should own the island, which resulted in a 40-year stint of the island being uninhabited again. Then the Dutch claimed it all and set up a bunch of businesses. Alexander Hamilton lived there for many years of his young life, working in the family shop, before moving to what would become the United States in the 1770s, where he became an accomplished American statesman, politician, legal scholar, military commander, lawyer, banker, and economist, before reaching his ultimate destiny in becoming the subject of a wildly popular musical.
I am not throwing away my shot.
Immigrants, am I right? What's at Point Udall now? A big sundial called the Millennium Monument and some hiking trails. It's the first bit of the US to see the sunrise each day. However, there is another contender for Easternmost Point. If we reckon by longitude instead of by the geographical center of the United States.
What?
So you know the 0 degree longitude line that runs through Greenwich right there?
Okay, so on the opposite side of the globe, at 180 degrees, would be what, the easternmost point or the westernmost point?
Both, actually. The easternmost point in U.S. territory by longitude is an island in Alaska's Aleutian Island chain called Semisopochnoi Island.
Semisopochnoi, or Unyak, according to the Aleut people.
All right.
Snovim gorum, rебята.
This island, which is now free of Norway rats, is ironically at the western edge of U.S. territory, not eastern. This is why this reckoning by longitude business is a bit technical and counterintuitive. The island itself is uninhabited, populated by thousands of seabirds and occasionally explosions. As recently as 2018, the stratovolcano that dominates the island erupted, spewing ash thousands of feet into the air.
Okay, so we did north, south, and east, so how about west?
Yeah? Let's go west. So the westernmost point in full U.S. control is Point Udall on the island of Guam.
Wait, Point Udall again?
Yeah, it's two different Point Udalls, and the Udalls are related.
Half a day. That's hello in Chamorro. An invitation to come experience Guam.
Point Udall, the westernmost point in Guam, deep in the Pacific Ocean, is named after Arizona Congressman Morris Udall, the brother of Stuart Udall, for which the Udall Point in the U.S. Virgin Islands is named. That is a pretty strange flex for the United States, but whatever. You do you, US of A. Guam, like American Samoa, is a comfortable place to live. Temperatures stay in the 70s and 80s Fahrenheit all year round. A wet, tropical climate. Although people from all over the U.S. reside here, the majority of the population are Chamorros, a group of people that's lived in Guam and the Northern Mariana Islands for the last 4,000 years. Ferdinand Magellan, sailing for the then newly minted nation-state of Spain in 1521, bumped into Guam. Magellan called the place Islas de los Ladrones, the island of the thieves. But oh, the irony.
I don't get it.
It's funny because like the Spanish sailed everywhere and stole things from people.
Oh.
Japanese and Filipino people settled here alongside Chamorros in the 19th century. Guam came under U.S. control during the Spanish-American War in 1898, after 4 centuries of Spanish rule.
Adios.
During World War II, the Japanese occupied Guam and built an airfield at Point Udall. When the United States recaptured the island, they did so here, at the point.
Gosh!
Later, during the Vietnam War, South Vietnamese refugees were housed here in tent cities. Fun fact, Guam always exists in the future, relative to us.
Okay, so what about the westernmost point by longitude?
Yeah, so just like there was a runner-up to easternmost point, if we use longitude, there's a runner-up to westernmost point, if we use longitude.
Okay.
And the westernmost point according to longitude is uninhabited Amatagnak Island at the tail end of the Aleutian Island chain in Alaska. Ironically, Amatagnak Island is only 70 miles from Simisopochnoi Island, which is the easternmost point by longitude in the U.S.
Amaktignak.
Amatignak.
Amaktignak.
Amatignak.
Простите.
Well, I suggest you gentlemen invent a way to put a square peg in a round hole.
So, you want to take a guess as to what the highest point in U.S. territory is?
Okay. It's probably a mountain, right?
Yeah, sort of. It's near a mountain on the moon.
2, 1, fire!
Between 1969 and 1972, the United States put 12 humans on the surface of the moon. That is much higher than any mountain if you are starting from Earth's sea level. No other country has gone up to try to plant any other flag, so yeah, we own the moon, despite what any international treaty says. So let's go put a McDonald's up there.
You want moon dust with that? Okay, is there anything more terrestrial that's the high point?
Yeah, Denali. Denali is the highest mountain in the United States and in North America, and is located in central Alaska. It stands proud at 20,310 feet above sea level. Its name comes from the language of the Koyukon people, who have lived in the neighborhood of the mountain for some thousands of years. Walter Harper, a Koyukon man, was the first to summit Denali on Saturday, June 7, 1913. For a little while, the mountain was called Mount McKinley, but like Transcendentalism, it was just a phase we went through. The mountain is called Denali in 7 different Alaskan languages. This has been the case for centuries. Why stop now? A solid runner-up to Denali is that of Hawaii's Mauna Kea.
But isn't Mauna Kea only 13,000 feet when Denali is 20,000?
Yeah, but if you measure from the base of Mauna Kea, which is underwater, from base to tip, it's 33,000 feet. Even with the disadvantage of measuring from sea level to the tip, 13,000 feet, it's still the 4th highest peak in the United States. Mauna Kea is big.
Swing low, sweet chariot.
Okay, so Denali is high, so what's low?
Here's where things get a little weird.
Well, here's where they get weird.
Unquestionably, the lowest natural point in the United States is Badwater Basin in California's Death Valley, sitting at 282 feet or 86 meters below sea level. A weird little irony is that the tallest point in the lower 48 states, Mount Whitney, is only 80-something miles away. Death Valley is iconic. It is notorious for being one of the hottest places on Earth, sitting with rare company that includes the Sahara Desert and the Arabian Desert. A verifiable record of 129.2 degrees Fahrenheit, or 54 degrees Celsius, was recorded in 2013, tying a record with a spot in Kuwait. But that's the air temperature. The highest ground temperature in Death Valley was recorded at 201 degrees Fahrenheit, or 93 degrees Celsius, in 1972, which is the highest ground temperature recorded anywhere on Earth. Badwater Basin specifically contains a salt flat, which is the remnant of a lake that existed long ago. Still, a little bit of water exists here. A small spring feeds a small area and supports a little bit of life, including the badwater snail. But that's the lowest natural point in the U.S. The lowest artificial point in the U.S. is the Bertha Rogers Well in the state of Oklahoma, in Ouachita County. This was an oil exploration hole drilled in 1974. For a moment, it was the world's deepest hole, punching down into the earth 31,441 feet. The Lone Star Producing Company, which created the Bertha Rogers Well, drilled down so far that they hit a pocket of molten sulfur, which melted the drill bit. However, this well was the world's deepest hole for only a few years. The Soviet Union surpassed it in 1979 with the Kola Super Deep Borehole, which still holds the record at 40,000 feet deep. The Bertha Rogers well has since been filled in and abandoned. So that's it. North to south, east to west, points Udall and all.
It's big. It's really big.
The United States of America. And since we're an acronym-loving people, you can shorten that to TUSOA, which makes us Tusoans.
So the President of the United States of America would be POTUSOA.
Sure.
And the spouse of the President would be
SOPA-TUSOA.
SOPA-TUSOA.
SOPA-TUSOA. Congress of the United States of America would be COTUSOA.
Okay, so the Supreme Court would be SCOTUSOA.
SCOTUSOA. NASA would be NASA-OTUSOA, the National Atmospheric and Space Administration of the United States of America. Attorney General of the United States of America, AGO-TUSOA.
Okay, Senate, SOTA-TUSOA.
House, HORA-TUSOA.
Sounds like a bacterium.
It is kind of a bacterium.
Protozoa.
Protozoans are U.S. citizens.
I always knew it.
遠い将来を考えてみようよ。